I'm actually really hot. It's a really sunny day and I'm wearing this jumper and I've got family members outside doing some drilling, which has been going on for like 2 days, and I want this video to go up the day I'm filming it, so I've got no other choice but to film right now, so apologies. If you're a new viewer of mine, hello. I make weekly vlogs, beauty, lifestyle, fashion stuff, and I do a lot of Disney. I recently went to Disneyland Paris and this video was very highly requested. If you are a loyal subscriber and you've watched me for a while, then you may recognise I'm in a different background. I am in my old bedroom at my mum's house, and that's because I have recently moved back here. I'm going to talk about it in a weekly vlog. It'll be next week's weekly vlog, so if you are a follower of mine and you're not sure what the hell's going on, I'll talk about it then. So let's crack on with the video. I went to Disneyland Paris on the 23rd to the 26th of March. It was amazing. We went for my 22nd birthday, my best friend Kate and I. I filmed the days that we were there. We were there 3 nights and 4 days, but a day and a half was traveling, so we were in the park for 2.5 days. So there are 3 vlogs. I'm gonna link them below. They're a lot of fun. There's a lot of singing, character meets, rides. It was great. So I'm gonna put those below. I also have a video on planning for the trip, how I booked it, why I booked it, when, where, blah-de-blah-de-blah. Planning video will be down below, and I also have done a full video on dining, which restaurants we booked, that kind of thing. But today, I'm doing my top tips. Now, I've got a scrumpled up piece of paper with this all on. I was going to do like top 10 tips, but then I realised I had way more things than that. So I've broken it down into a few bits. First things first, planning. When it comes to planning Disneyland Paris, like I said, I've got a video which I will link below. I actually found it was best to book directly through the Disneyland Paris website. Everything was very easy. But the one tip I do have is kind of roughly make an itinerary. I think it's important to have a rough idea of what you're going to be doing on each day. There are 2 parks, the main Disneyland park and the Walt Disney Studios. There are obviously lots of different shows that happen, lots of different timings of things, parades, fireworks, all sorts going on. I actually downloaded the program guide from the DLP guide website. Not sponsored, I just really like them for Disneyland planning stuff. I'm gonna link below where I was finding my guide. They released it about a week before. I think it's done weekly at the moment. And I just basically roughly found out when the shows were. For example, Forest of Enchantment was on when I was there. I think in the summer you've got Frozen's summer fun show, and obviously Halloween and Christmas there's different stuff too. So I would download the guide. What I learned the most with Disneyland Paris is that there's only so much you can plan before like something happens, a ride closes, you spot a character that you suddenly want to meet, and obviously having a set itinerary is difficult to follow. But Disneyland Paris is nowhere near as big as the other Disneyland parks, especially Walt Disney World. If you've ever been to Florida, Disneyland Paris is actually very small and you can do it all in about 2 or 3 days. Okay, so my next tip is download this app. It's called Magi Park. I will write it below for you. And I found it was the absolute best for wait times. There's a Disneyland Paris app which you can download. I also had, I flew with Air France, so I had that downloaded, so I had my flight tickets on it. I absolutely love any apps for convenience for traveling, but the best app I found for Disneyland Paris is Magi, what did I call it? Magi Park. So basically you have both parks on here. They have them in A to Z, or you can favourite them. And if I show you my favourites, for example, it's done on a traffic light system, green, orange, red. Red means it's down. So for example, right now I can see Crush's Coaster and Ratatouille are down. Ooh, that's not good. Wouldn't want to be there right now. Anyway, basically I used this app while we were there. So Space Mountain, I can see it's 25 minutes. And they also have a little bell which you can click on, and you can receive notifications throughout the day to tell you when the ride is back up and running. I honestly think this is the best app for Disneyland Paris. I would highly recommend it if you're going. I refer to this much more than the Disneyland Paris app. The only thing it's quite good for is you can use the map on it on the Disneyland Paris app, but honestly I didn't use it half as much as I used this. And also it's quite nice to pick up an actual map. If you don't know Disneyland Paris well, you can just pick up a map. Packing. These are the things I thought were really important to pack. Sensible shoes. You walk a lot, would you believe? Although the parks are small, you do a lot of walking, so wear sensible shoes, trainers, something that you can literally walk in all day. But also take plasters, because I actually had blisters from trainers that I've worn for days, and suddenly I found I was getting blisters. So plasters, It was very cold, so even though we went end of March, I still took gloves, a scarf and layers. I personally like to wear a gilet, something that has big pockets in, so I can put my phone and my camera and have them accessible quite quickly. But yeah, I also had a little scarf which was quite handy, so we could sit on our scarves when the parade was about to start, and I had gloves for the evening when the fireworks were on, because it does get quite cold and stuff, so definitely pack those. I had a little rucksack which I thought was perfect, so I got my hands free. So a rucksack, a portable phone charger. You will not believe how many photos I was taking. It was crazy. So I think I charged my phone 2 or 3 times a day with my portable charger, but that's because my iPhone is absolutely crap anyway. I took a water bottle. I filled it up in the morning at breakfast, and this saved me having to buy water. Any theme park you go to, it is expensive for snacks and stuff, so I always take a water bottle. A lip balm, it's quite surprising how sore your lips get. You actually forget, like, little things like that. You're outside all day, so my lips got quite sore, so I had lip balm on me. And the last but not least, the other thing I would recommend packing is a lanyard. So I actually picked up this glittery lanyard from Home Bargains here in the UK. It was not very expensive at all. And then when I got to Disneyland, I picked up this, which is actually for pin trading. It says pin trading on it, but it was quite expensive. It was about €5 or €6, but it is literally a clear little pouch which we kept all of our park stuff in. So I asked some of my friends who are massive Disneyland Paris, you know, the annual pass holders and stuff, and they said, oh no, you won't need a lanyard. But that's if you're not staying in a Disneyland hotel. If you're staying in a Disney hotel, you will find you have so many pieces of paper. I've heard that they're introducing little cards that have everything on, and one day it would be amazing if you could get Magi bands like they do in Florida. But to give you an example, we were carrying around lots of paperwork like this. So we had tea time treats, which I'll talk about later on. We had our park tickets, we had our extra magic hours, photo pass, fast passes, and that is just a few bits. Most of it we ended up using, or I just don't have anymore, but I carried this around my neck the whole time, and it was very handy, so I didn't have to worry about losing any of my tickets. So I personally think a lanyard's really great to take with you, and if you can't get hold of one, then you can just buy one when you get there. Accommodation. I have stayed in a few of the Disneyland Paris hotels now. I really like Hotel Cheyenne. If you're on a budget, I think it's really nice, and they are just having it renovated at the moment. I know that as I'm filming this video, it's April 2016. There's a lot of renovation going on at Hotel Cheyenne, but I really like it there if you're on a budget. But if you want to spend a little bit more, then I highly recommend Sequoia Lodge. Stayed there for the first time recently, and I would 100% stay there again. You can actually pay for an upgrade to stay in a Golden Forest room, and we had a lakeside view, so the big balloon, you could see that over the lake into the village. It was absolutely gorgeous. A lot of people have emailed me asking if I think the upgrade was worth it. Yes, I do, and here's why. It's £100 per person, which may seem expensive to some. However, it is a lot nicer room. It was very comfortable bed, it was very clean, it was very tidy. We had VIP fast passes, which meant we could ride any ride we wanted that day, so we had one per person at any time apart from between 1 and 4 o'clock. These were very helpful, and Disneyland were actually very kind in letting us have 2 on one day, because you get 1 per day, but our flight was at like 8 AM or something, like 8, 9 AM. We had to leave really early in the morning, so we obviously couldn't go in the park that final day, so let's use 2 in one day, which was really nice. You get afternoon snack, which is like a buffet. You can come in the afternoon between, I think it's 3 and 6, and you can have unlimited like drinks and food. They were very accommodating, really nice place to go and relax and chill out. You also get a private breakfast lounge. If you've ever stayed in a Disneyland Paris hotel, you may know that it gets so crowded. It's like a fast food restaurant, and the start of the day is not how you want to spend your day. Especially in Hotel Cheyenne, I remember my mum and I had like trays with our breakfast on, and we literally had nowhere to sit. We were like waiting for a space. But in Sequoia Lodge, we had the whole place to ourselves. There were loads of tables around us, so much selection. The buffet was gorgeous, so that in itself was worth the upgrade in my opinion. And we also had a speedy check-in. When we got there, check-in was huge. The queue was so long, but with our Golden Forest upgrade, we got to skip all the queues, and it was very private, and we got to sit down at a table with the person checking us in, and it was really nice. We didn't feel rushed. There was no one behind us like pestering us to hurry up. It was lovely, lovely, lovely. There's also a thing called a tea time treat, which you might hear me refer to. Now, I think this applies to everyone that stays in Disneyland hotels. You get this little voucher that you can use in a selection of restaurants and cafes and what would you call these, like, you know, little stalls in the Disneyland hotel. So it lists all of them. You can basically get a sweet treat, which is a Magnum ice cream or a sugar donut, and one hot or cold drink, which is from a selection of water, orange juice, orange Minute Maid, lemonade, that kind of thing. Oh, you can get this from 3 till 6. So the afternoon tea in Sequoia Lodge is, I think, 4 till 6. So basically, you could either do this if you're running around the park and you get one sweet treat and one drink, or if you have time and you want to go and chill out, then you can go and do the afternoon tea in the upgrade at Sequoia Lodge. I don't know how it works for other hotels, but that's basically what we got for our upgrade and what we got at Sequoia Lodge, and that's why I think it's worth it. It was really, really great. Also, in terms of Sequoia Lodge, the walk to the park was about 10 minutes. We didn't have to get on any buses. I mean, when I stayed in Hotel Cheyenne, we had to get a bus to and from, which was a bit annoying, so the convenience of being a little bit closer is worth paying the extra for, in my opinion. I stayed in Newport Bay as well, and that's also very, very nice, so I personally think it's worth it. The only downfall I found with Sequoia Lodge is the swimming pool is really disgusting, in terms of I found it quite dirty and it was heaving. We went at like 9 PM and it was still heaving. Loads of kids and families, which was really bizarre because the actual park and the whole trip itself didn't feel crowded. Like we were there on Easter bank holiday weekend and we barely queued for things, yet we went to the swimming pool one night and it was heaving. So I would recommend taking like flip-flops if you are going to go and stay in Sequoia Lodge and you do want to use the swimming pool, because it was disgusting. Fast passes. I've been asked to explain about fast passes, so here we go in the best I can do it. You will get a park ticket that looks a little bit like this. This gets you in and out of the park, but also allows you to get your fast passes. You'll know which rides have fast passes if you pick up a map. It will have the FP FastPass logo next to the name of the rides. There aren't a lot. I mean, I can write them below for you if that helps, the rides that have fast passes on them. But you basically go up to that ride. For example, Buzz Lightyear, you've got the entrance, you've got the FastPass entrance, and normally to the side of the ride or round the entrance of the ride, there's a FastPass area with little like tickety booths. You do it yourself, you don't like go up to a person. It's like a little black box, kind of eye level, and you literally scan it. There will be a cast member nearby if you have no idea, but you scan the code, scan it on the machine, and it prints out a FastPass ticket, which I've got one here, which I never used. This is for Ratatouille, and it basically says this is valid between 4:20 and 5:10. Now, you can't get another FastPass until this one has passed, so I believe you can't get another FastPass until 4:20, so you can only really have one at a time. However, they are really great and they do help you skip the queues. Fast passes go really, really quickly, so I would recommend planning your day. For example, Ratatouille rides are very popular. Buzz Lightyear is worth getting, and if it was open, I always get one for Big Thunder Mountain. Fast passes are really great. If you have any like further questions, even below for me, but it's a very easy concept when you get there, and you can ask cast members to help you, but they're free for anyone with your Disneyland Pass. Anyone can do it. It's not an exclusive thing. Fast passes are available to everyone. Rides. When it comes to rides, I would 100% recommend going on Crush's Coaster in the studios first if you're doing a day in the studios, because there is no fast pass and it's a very popular ride. It's about an hour wait during the day, so I would, if I was planning my day, I'd always go on Crush's Coaster first, and then I would go and do the other stuff in the studios. Also, the other benefit of staying in a Disneyland hotel is you get extra magic hours as well, which means you can go into the park, I think it's like an hour or two before everyone else. But with extra magic hours, not every ride is open. There's only like, I think there's 7 or 8 rides are open. There's characters out. It just means you get in a little bit earlier and you're there and stuff like that. I know that Kate and I went and did extra magic hours, and we went up in the castle, which I'll talk about in a minute. Anyway, Going back to rides, sorry, I know I'm rushing through this, but there's a lot to get through. When it comes back to rides, the other concept somebody wanted me to explain was single rider. Now this is huge over in California, and when I went over to Disney California Adventure, I did it a lot then because I was on my own. I actually visited the park on my own, and I use single rider massively, and I'm really impressed that they're bringing it over to Paris now, and I'm starting to see it on a bit more rides. We used it on Crush's Coaster because, like I said, the queue was about an hour long, and you basically means you queue in a separate queue, and then if you they get a spare seat, they let that person in the single rider queue get on. For example, Crush's Coaster, you can fit 4 people in. If you've got a family of 3, then they're gonna let somebody from the single riders queue go on. It's very unpredictable. You don't know how long it's gonna take. It's really just a case of luck, but it is a lot quicker. And if it's just you and one other person, I think it's worth doing single rider. The option's there if you want to use it, you don't have to. Kate and I used single rider, and it was very, very helpful. In fact, one point, there was a family of 2 that went on, and they needed another 2, and it was just a lot of 4s, families of 4 and groups of 4 in the queue, so they let us on together. We just got lucky, but single rider is there and it is an option. In the main park, I definitely recommend getting fast passes for Space Mountain, Buzz and Big Thunder Mountain. Like I said, that was closed when I was there, but that's definitely what I'd be using it for. Pirates of the Caribbean and Indiana Jones also quite popular, and they're some of my favourite rides, but I found that the wait times were actually quite short. We didn't wait more than 10 to 15 minutes for Indiana Jones, so I therefore don't think it's that worth getting a fast pass for. But obviously if you're in the peak of summer and stuff, the rides are there and the options there for fast pass. But personally, I think Pirates and Indiana Jones, the queues generally go quite quick. The next section I put is shows and things worth doing. So Disney Dreams is an exclusive fireworks show at Disneyland Paris. It happens in the main park when the park closes. When I was there, the park closed at 8 p.m, but in the summer it can close up until 10 p.m. at night. So you need to check your park guide to find out when the park closes, and that's the time that the fireworks show will start. I would recommend getting there about half an hour before. So for us, we got to our area that we wanted to stand at about 7:30 and just waited half an hour because it does get very, very busy and crowded, and you want to be in your spot, you know, in good time. A lot of people ask me, where did you stand for the fireworks? I actually stood, recommendation from my cast member friend, directly outside the castle. You've got like little circles of plants and areas, and we kind of stood to the side, left side, kind of near the benches. We actually utilised the benches. You'll see them when the show starts. You can stand on the benches, no one will stop you, and then you've got a little bit of height so you can see above the crowd. So that would be my absolute key tip, is sit down on a bench, let everyone stand out in front of you, and then when the show starts you can actually stand on the bench. And that's how I filmed the whole show. You can go check out my vlog if you want to see my footage. I used a GoPro, so I used a fisheye lens, so it's a bit more wider angle, but actually in person the view was amazing. I had like no one in front of me. It was great. In terms of parades, there are quite a few parades. I went during spring, and in Swing into Spring they have Goofy's Garden Party, Minnie's Little Spring Train, but they also have Main Parade, which happens all through the year, and that was on at 5:30 for me. But like I said, check your guide. You can pick programs and your map up when you walk through into the park. You'll see them, they're everywhere. They have different languages as well, so don't worry about that. And we basically, Main Parade, like I said, was on at 5:30, and we basically stood where the turrets are from like the main bit of Disney going into Fantasyland. It's kind of on the edge of the park. That was the best place that we found. Go and watch my vlogs if you want to see exactly where we stood. Again, try and get to the place that you want to be, where you want to stand, about half an hour before the show, or the parade, sorry, starts, and then you can guarantee your space and you can be at the front where the ropes are, and you can get a good view. Forest of Enchantment was on when I was there, which was an absolutely fantastic show. So worth going to see if you're going in the next couple of weeks or couple of months. I think it ends in June or July, and then it will change over to something else. There are so many different shows on through the year, and it is definitely worth keeping an eye out. Generally, if you just go and pick up a a guide. It will tell you what shows are on and what time. I also recommend doing the stunt show in the studios. We didn't get to do it on this occasion, but I've done it a few times before. It happens, I think, like 3 or 4 times a day. Once again, it will tell you in the guide, but in the program, sorry, you know what I'm trying to say. The stunt show is great. It doesn't feel very Disney. It's in the studios. It's cars and fire and water and stuntmen driving the cars. It is great. It's great if you've got family members, especially men and boys who are into cars. It is a really good show and I really enjoy it. So I recommend doing that if you have time and you're there a few days and you've got some time to kill. I also on this trip did the Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, which I've briefly talked about in a couple of my other Disneyland Paris videos, and I actually filmed quite a lot of it, so once again, go check out the vlogs if you want to see a bit of the show. But essentially it's about €78, €78, sorry, to go and see Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. It's based in the village and it's essentially a show. You watch the show and you eat a 3-course meal. And the show consists of real horses, real buffalo, tells a story, and you've got Mickey and friends and they all come out and it's very, very good. It's very interactive. The people that host the show are very fun, keep it very upbeat. There's music, it's just great. It's really, really great. In terms of food, a lot of people ask me what the food was like. We had chili, chicken, ribs, and warm apple crumble for dessert. And they also refilled our drinks, which was so good. You had a choice of either Coke or beer, and they were coming around topping them up for us. With our half-board meal plan, we basically were able to trade in our meal plan voucher, which we'd normally use, and then we could pay the extra. I think it was about 30 or 40 euros extra on top of our meal plan voucher, and I genuinely think it was worth it. I probably wouldn't do it again. Now I've done it once, but it is really, really good. And finally, the last thing I think is worth doing that's not a parade or a ride is going inside Sleeping Beauty's castle. It is really, really beautiful. Even if you just go upstairs and appreciate the stained glass windows and just have a little walk around and go and look at the view, it's really, really nice. And if you ask a cast member or go and try and find it, there is a dragon based downstairs, so kind of like underneath the castle. You just kind of walk around a little bit. Go and find it, go check it out, and I think it's worth doing. It's a little bit of fun. Not a lot of people know that the dragon is there, and if you walk all the way around the castle, there's a nice little waterfall and there's a nice little path, and you can get some great photos down at the bottom, so worth doing. I could be here all day talking about food and restaurants and the half-board dining plan and all that jazz, but I have actually done a Disneyland Paris video on dining, so I'm going to link that below if you really want to know a lot more about food and dining. But ultimately, a lot of people ask me, is Blue Lagoon just seafood? And no, it's not. I really love Blue Lagoon. It's based next to the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Underneath, it's like, you know, underground, not kind of underground, but it is kind of underground, I guess, next to the ride, so you sit next to the water as the ride goes on. It's really, really nice. It's not just seafood. We had chicken and rice, and I actually think the food's really good. Unfortunately, the service was quite slow on this trip, but I still really like it, and I'd still go back there. I desperately wanted to go to the new Chez Remy ratatouille restaurant in the new ratatouille kind of area in the studios, but unfortunately when we got there, even though we'd booked it, it was closed, and I was so gutted. But that's definitely a restaurant I would pre-book if I had the choice again. And the last little tip I put on here was, if you want to go somewhere nice for lunch, I would recommend Earl of Sandwich in the village. I had a nice warm meatball kind of sub sandwich thing, and it was great. I think it's really good value for what it is. Like, it is expensive. Everywhere you eat in Disneyland Paris is expensive, but Earl of Sandwich was really nice, and it wasn't too busy either. We queued for about 5-10 minutes, and then our food didn't take that long. It's most of the self-service places are quick service, fast foody things, but Earl of Sandwich felt really nice. It was very good quality, and I really recommend it. In terms of shopping, I put definitely go to World of Disney. You won't miss it. It's in the village. A lot of the merchandise is repeated all through the little shops and in the shops in the hotels as well. So you can generally pick up most of it anywhere you go. But World of Disney has everything, and it is worth taking an hour to just go and look at everything and mooch and shop, and I loved it. So the first time we went to World of Disney, we went after the fireworks at about 9 o'clock, and it was heaving. So we went again a couple of days later, we had a restaurant reservation at Cafe Mickey for 12 o'clock. So we went about 11, an hour before our restaurant reservation, and it was dead quiet and it was so enjoyable to shop there. So if I was gonna do shopping again, I would definitely do it at a time where not a lot of people are around. So like 11 in the morning or like 3 in the afternoon. It was much more enjoyable and I could see everything and no one was in my way. The last section I put down was safety. Because of like what's happened in Paris recently with the attacks and Disneyland closing, and the level of security there is very good. I just kind of wanted to highlight this now. They scanned our bags in and out of the village and in and out of both parks. There were, you know, scanners with lots of security. There were sniffer dogs. It didn't feel like it didn't ruin the experience. It didn't take very long and everyone was happy to be scanned. We also would stand with our arms out and they'd, you know, do like they do in an airport. They also scanned our suitcases before we entered Sequoia Lodge. And again, there were security and sniffer dogs then. There's security on the front of the hotels and all around the parks. And I actually felt very, very safe and comfortable, and it didn't worry me at all. The other thing I get asked about as well is I actually flew into Airport from Southampton. In terms of like transport and stuff, we used the Magic Shuttle bus, which you can pay when you book your trip, but I wouldn't recommend it because our bus never turned up on our return trip and we had to get a taxi. So in future, I would probably just rely on taxis and not worry about the Magic bus, although a lot of people do use it and it is cheaper than a taxi. I think it's about £20 per person, whereas a taxi cost us about £40 per person. So it is double the price, but I would probably not bother with the Magic Shuttle. I'm having to make a claim in and try and get our money back because it just never turned up, and our hotel staff even called them and they said they'd already been and gone and they definitely hadn't, so it was very frustrating. I just thought that was worth adding on to this. So because I know I get asked. Okay, oh my gosh, that video is so long. I hope I've covered a lot of the things that you guys ask me about. If I haven't, I'm going to be asking for questions for a Q&A, probably on my Instagram and Twitter, so make sure you're following me. I'm Brogan Tate XO. I post lots of Disney pictures and meets with characters, and I'm hoping to return to Paris next year after their 25th birthday when they open and everything's back open again. On this trip I didn't get to go on Big Thunder Mountain and Rock and Roller Coaster, which are two of my favourites. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye! I don't know where my Minnie Mouse ears are, and I normally wear them for my Disney videos and I don't know where they are because I've just moved in. But normally I wear my Minnie ears. I don't know where they are. Okay, I'm gonna go, bye.